Title: Never played BG 1 and 2. I've never played through Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, although I've briefly played them before going, all right, I'm not feeling this type of game right now, and then dropping them. I have played other D&D games before, such as Neverwinter Nights 1 and 2, and I really loved NWN 1, 2 not so much. BG 3 is essentially a heavily modified original Sin 2. If you liked Larian's other RPGs and/or Dungeons & Dragons type stuff, you're most likely in for a good time. Unlike the first two BGs, this one is turn-based, while the first two were group-based cooldown combat, aka MMORPG-esque type combat. I feel like turn-based works better for something with so much metaphorical and literal dice rolls. You can make a custom character, or you can pick a pre-existing unique character, which I recommend since they come with their own unique personal side quest. Just like in original Sin 2, I picked Karlach because a demon woman that's constantly on fire because she has a hellfire engine up her ass and recently escaped hell was the most immediately interesting character to me. That, and she gives off the dopiest smile when petting a dog, which for whatever reason reminded me of Alex Vance's also dopey smile. All the origin characters have tons of personality, and everyone even whispers when taking a command while in stealth. Speaking of stealth, feel free to pickpocket as many merchants as you want in turn-based mode, take a few things, run away, exit turn-based mode, and then quickly fast travel to evade prosecution, and then swindle the wares you stole back to them right after giving them a critical wedgie. I've never seen a top-down RPG with such verticality, and the game even has a jump option. Gasp. Not only does this give the game platforming, and the option to immediately explode your skeleton upon impact of a 50-foot drop, but it also gives you more options to avoid traps on top of the Larian-style put-a-pot lid on a trap vent to block it. Larian's talking animals are always a hoot. Always make sure you have Speak to Animals active. Karlach has this ability by default. This game is fairly well optimized. While I started the game on a mid-range desktop, and it ran well on mostly high settings, I continued the game on a mid-ish range laptop, and it ran well enough on low settings, 720p. Not as well optimized as Doom Eternal, which ran far better. Then again, that game was optimized by actual wizards. If you tried to run Stalker 2 on even my desktop PC, it would only run decently on ultra-low settings, and then suffer through 50 crashes throughout a 25-hour playthrough. Meanwhile, in BG3, 150-hour playthrough, just one crash, DX11 mode. I swear, Larian has a fascination with beaches. Their last 3 games have started either on or near a beach. Kind of like how 6th Gen had a water fetish, because that's when water in 3D games started looking good. Gripes, den other. Item highlighting is very selective. It only highlights what it feels like, and not random trash, or say, valuable trash like for random example, incense sticks on bowls. The game should really just highlight every item that is in vision. It's really annoying to have to pixel hunt just to loot the place. The game likes janking up sometimes. Characters get locked out of doing various commands until you quick load or whack them over the head or some other. This has happened at least several times. Every time you quick load, your selected hotbar resets to the general one, while I like having it on custom because the general hotbar is a slight visual cluster. Items sold to shops will always be there. So if you sell an entire dumpster's worth of crap to a merchant, the game is going to chug every time you trade with them. The game should really discard most lower-level non-unique items from shops after a rest, just saying, these save files ain't getting any less bloated. At least the game does the Bioshock thing, where after a while, enemy corpses turn into loot containers, so the game chugs a bit less when backtracking through an area 5 hours later. There is no weapon set switch system, like in Diablo 2 for random example. So if you want your bruiser to switch to a bludgeoning type weapon to smash skeletons or walls, you have to manually equip it, then re-equip your previous weapon, then rebind abilities associated with that previous weapon. Talk about tedious. Same for switching to your torch, got to rebind weapon type abilities. Counterspell and other similar reactions happens to every little weak spell, with no option to only ask to use it for more dangerous spells like being charmed or having a nuke about to be thrown in your face. You can't modify party follow distance or have formations. If you get ambushed, every member is 4 inches away from each other. and gets multiple AoE nukes to the face. There should be an option to automatically add all non-green quality items or better to wares on pickup. I must have manually Ctrl-clicked over 1,000 common items, adding them to wares for quick selling later. Obvious feature not implemented. Party members climb up or down in single file, one at a time, causing them to lag behind. You can't favorite items for easy access. Every time you look at your inventory, it's an eye maze, even after sorting. 15% of the time when trying to loot something, your character takes the most arse-backwards path and climbs around like a monkey on crates and other random crap to pick something up because of the jank pathing, low item pickup range, and item shitboxes. I couldn't count the number of times an item was out of reach, and there is seemingly no way to yank it towards me other than using telekinesis, which is a high-rank spell BTW, and can only cast like 2 times before needing to rest, so it's usually not worth it. The camera can be a problem more often than not, with the camera being way too high because the game thinks you're higher than your character actually is, or some roof or other terrain nonsense is blocking your view when it should be see-through when your character is under it. The model viewer when examining an item or NPC is atrocious. You can only rotate the camera left and right. This is beyond basic.
The usual problem with the past free turn-based Larian RPGs is that there is seemingly no option to fast-forward battles, which isn't a problem for smaller battles. But when you're in one of those giga battles that have 40 units, it gets really tedious to wait for every other unit to take their turn, especially when their brain stops working. They stare at the sky for a solid 10 seconds, and then randomly decide to dash 5 inches away. It's like the game is scanning the entire landscape to figure out a pathing option for a unit that should be calculated in milliseconds at most. Larian still hasn't fixed Larian jank.
Not a big surprise.
What baffles me is the game does have a feature that makes several similar enemy units move at the same time, like say, several similar goblin units. Why is this feature not used more frequently? I've seen it used in only a small handful of battles. So if you want a battle fast-forward feature, you need to get a mod, which is apparently no longer updated and incompatible with newer versions of the game. I shouldn't have to mod the game for a battle fast-forward feature, it should be an option by now. Fallout had battle animation speed modifiers, even Atom RPG, an indie Fallout-like, had battle animation speed modifiers. Yet AAA devs with a giga budget can't implement this. Random funny moments. One time while in the fireworks shop in the gate, I bought some bomb arrows, then had 2 stacks of them for some reason in Protag's inventory. I combined the 2 stacks, and then both stacks disappeared. Apparently the merchant was a troll and sold me a stack of antimatter bomb arrows that cancels out regular bomb arrows. Then there was this one time where I was saving beachgoers from Sahagins, saved them, and then one of the idiot civilians walked into Shadowheart's insect swarm. And then literally the whole city turned hostile. Then at the ending, after Karlik turned into an Illithid, I rolled 1 short of a successful roll when she was getting Hunji. Everyone turns hostile against me and comedy ending ensues.
I give the game an 8.9 out of 10, or 5 out of 5 stars for Gogi standards. Spoiler: you get to fight a devil as a major side quest, and in the boss fight of that, the devil starts singing. It's like some hell of a boss shit. And the devil sounds almost exactly like Lucien Lechance from Oblivion.